Alright, everybody gather around. I'm about to tell you the tale that sparked an adventure that lasted lifetimes. Chapter 1 Stormheart, Xofroria. Chapter 1 The Gift. I am a mercenary who works for the Golden Dragon Alliance, a group of people in a country who band together in the past to push back invaders from another land. I do small jobs that the council couldn't spare resources for. I had just returned from a job where we had to deal with some bandits operating near Wellhaven. It was late morning. You could smell freshly cooked venison and chicken in the air. You could hear birds chirping in the trees. It was nice to see the children running around, adults talking, and guards patrolling the streets. It was so peaceful. Getting away from all the combat was nice. What I didn't know was it wasn't going to stop. Suddenly there was an explosion from the north. A wave of some kind of blue energy began expanding throughout the kingdom. At the same time, the sky turned a dark purple. Then I realized it was coming in fast. It was coming in this way. Everyone inside. I began shoving the children into the nearest house as the wave got closer and closer. I rushed into the house with the children, slammed the door shut, and locked it. Then we braced ourselves, waiting for something to happen, but nothing happened. We waited a few more minutes before I slowly unlocked the door and opened it. Everything was back to normal. No wave, no purple sky, nothing wrong. Not until we started to hear the sound of galloping horses riding toward us. Then we then began to see figures riding on horseback toward the town. Bandits! Yelled one of the guards. The guards began to take up arms, unsheathed their swords, and aimed their bows. When the bandits came into range, the guardsmen let rip of their arrows into the air to rain upon the enemy. The arrows soared through the air and began to pierce the bandits' armor, but it wasn't enough. There were too many of them, and they'd soon be at the edge of the town. I quickly take out my bow and aim at the bandits closest to us. With a quick pull and release, the arrow was already on the way to its target. It would then thud straight into the man's chest as he fell off the horse. The battle was fierce and intense. I would fire again and again and again, but it was no use. We were soon overwhelmed. While I was shooting my bow at one bandit, another came around from my blind spot and rammed me with the body of its horse. After that, everything went black. I would wake up to look up at the sky. It was dusk. In the darkness, it was perfectly easy to see the flames and the smoke rising from the buildings. "There's another live one over here, sir," said a deep voice. I would turn around to see a hulking man wearing heavy steel armor mounting a large horse. I can remember his helmet perfectly. It covered his face completely except for his eyes, which were unusually glowing light blue. There were steel horns on the helmet that came out the sides and went upward. Surrounding him were five muscular men who were wearing simple leather armor. "What do you want us to do with him, Lord Kelleck?" "Kill him if you wish, but do it quickly," said the large figure, as he began to ride off into the distance. The five men then turned back to me and started walking toward me. I would then quickly get up onto my feet and draw my sword and get ready to defend myself. They then draw their swords as well, with the first bandit attacking right away. I had to quickly block his blow, which I was barely prepared for. Then two more of the men came at me. I could not fight them all on my own. There were too many of them. But I will do, but I will still try to take as many of them as possible with me. I backed up away from their strikes. I got ready for the next blows that were sure to come, but I felt something, a sort of energy, dance across my body, and finally rest in my palms. I opened up my one empty hand, and from the energy in my hand came a ball of lightning that just sat in my hand. The sight left me stunned. I had never seen anything like this before. The sight was even too much for the bandits, for they stood there with their swords raised, looking at the ball of lightning. I took my chance and let my instincts take over. I raised my hand and up to the men as a bolt of lightning danced through the air and struck the man in the middle. As the lightning bolt collided with a man, sent him flying backward and slamming him to the ground, lightning still sparking around him and smoke rising from his chest. "Who is next?" I asked, as I then dropped my sword and hold up my other hand at them. They all look at each other, look at me, and start running to their horses and begin riding away. "Thought so," I mutter and grin as I close my hands and balls of lightning shrink and vanish. Well, that's new and interesting. I pick up my sword and put it back away. I knew I had to get revenge for what they did to these people in my home. Cutting off the head of the snake would be perfect for that. I took one of the horses that originally belonged to the man I killed and rode off in the direction this Lord Calac went. I followed his footprints that belonged to his horse to an old abandoned mine. Perfect place for a hideout. There was a sleeping bandit outside, underneath a lantern hanging near a big doorway. I slowly approached the sleeping bandit and bashed his head with a large stone, knocking him out. Then I entered the mine. The place was almost completely dark except for lanterns that were hanging on the walls once in a while. There were many different corridors and hallways going all over the mine. The shaft then opened up into a large cavern with a ceiling that was 20 feet high or maybe even higher. The stalagmites and stalactites roamed the caves. The closer to the center I got, it was easier to hear more guards. "Thanks to this wave, we are going to be rich." "Shut up and get back to work. Many people will pay a good price for these creatures. Make sure they are kept in good condition." I had a decent view of the creatures in the cages and the people. The three creatures were of many different varieties. One could breathe fire and had wings. The second has the body of a bear and a face and tail of a wolf. The last one is a small man-sized lizard standing on its back legs. Three men, while being far enough away from the creatures, moving boxes to the corner of a cave where they are keeping a lot of supplies. When they decided to take a break, and group back together, I decided to make my move. I came out of my cover and slowly walked toward the men. "Who are you? What do you do with Jeff?" They looked at each other. "Get him," as they unsheathed their swords and rushed to attack me. I raised my hand, spread the fingers, and two lightning bolts burst from my hand toward the men. After the lightning stops, the men dropped dead with smoke rising from their bodies. Then I continued onward to find the head of the snake. I soon came upon a sort of war room, with the massive figure hunched over the table. "Fought or snuck?" He didn't even turn around. "Fought." "Impressive. You're gonna pay for what you did." "Am I?" In anger, I ignite the lightning bolts in my hands. "Ah, so you are one of those gifted. That must be how you got past my guards. I also happen to be gifted," he says as he holds out his right hand, palm up, as a ball of ice forms in his hand. "It doesn't matter if you're like me, I'm still gonna kill you." "So be it. May the better warrior live," he says as he turns around and unsheathes his dagger with his left hand. We then begin to circle each other for what felt like eternity. I made the first move. I raised my hands and sent a burst of electricity flying toward him. I didn't kill him. Smoke rose from the big man. I looked at his eyes, which were now a dark crimson. In anger, he yelled and ran toward me. He sent the ball of ice soaring toward me at high speed, and it struck me in the chest, knocking me to the ground. It hurt. It hurt from the impact, but also began to burn from the frost that had struck onto me. He then quickly dove onto me, attempting to stab me in the gut with his knife. But I grabbed his arms and held them away from stabbing rage. He was a lot stronger than me, and I was a small guy compared to him. I knew what I had to do. I let go of his arms, letting him sink the dagger into me. I knew I'd be a better warrior. He chuckled. Huh. I gasped and groaned in pain. But as he did this, I quickly unsheathed my sword and plunged it deep into his chest. Oh, fuck you, I muttered in his ear as I pushed him off me. I began to hear running footsteps coming down the hallway. I looked down and saw my wound. Blood was quickly seeping out of it. My vision began to blur. My ears began to deafen. The footsteps got closer. I turned to see who was coming. I saw two men, one in green and black light armor, and another in steel plate armor. And everything began to blur more. Get the medic! We need him now. You're gonna be alright. You hear me? He asked me. It's too late for me. Then I pointed at Lord Calac. Him too. The pain began to come back, and I screamed in pain. You have done your home a great deed this day. Thank you. And everything went black. I hope you all enjoyed that. Yeah. If anyone even watched this thing, I hope they liked it. I am gonna be a English major, so I'm planning on doing as best I can when it comes to my writing technique, and that was one of my best things I've probably ever done. And I know my teacher because I actually wrote that chapter for an old assignment, and the teacher really liked it. I got a 92 on it, 92%. It's quite impressive. I say so myself. I've never really gotten anything that good before on anything writing, and I liked it. I liked being able to freestyle my own writing. So I hope you're all having a good day, and if you weren't, I hope this made your day better. Just so you got to hear a little bit of a cool story I made. That was chapter 1, The Gift, and I hope all of you have a good day. Bye.